Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to the episode of Remakes and Continuations with my co-host, Scott Harding from the You Run Podcast.
Hello. I've just realised, just watching our intro again, we need to update the little video.
We do. Stop calling me out.
we look so young. Like, I've got a full beard now. I look like an old man.
What do you mean we look so young? I like to say.
I look so young. I'll rephrase it. I look like a child in that intro.
Yeah, I need to redo it. And I also need to redo it because we've covered everything that's already in it. So it's time to, it'll get an update soon. Probably not these, but maybe first of the year I'll get an update one.
Yeah, but update it for 2025. Don't do it now.
Yeah, we'll update it for the next year. Can you believe we've almost been doing this for 2 years?
No, it's mad. Look, we've been working together now for what, almost 3?
I think so. Yeah,
which is crazy considering we're two strangers who met online and now we have multiple shows together. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I will say, like, one of the first, like, oh my God, moments of my YouTube, I guess, career, was when you had mentioned you wanted me to come on. I like the very first time you ever, like, we were messaging and you had said something about planning an episode and like working together. I was like, it was like the first invite to another channel. It was like the most, like, so exciting, and I would have never thought it would have ended up like this.
No, it's bizarre. The crazy thing is we have such different takes on movies, and
Yes.
In theory, we should be bitter rivals and enemies because we hardly agree on anything. Yet for some reason, it just works.
It does work. I think it's because we both come from the same place where we'll poke and play and degrade a little bit, but also, like, we don't actually, it's not like we're crying on our pillow at the night because, like, you didn't like the same movie as me, like we come at it from a very, like, overall, it's like, yeah, you like what you like. We just argue about it because we can, it comes from a very good place. It comes from a loving place.
Yeah. Speak for yourself. I cry myself to sleep when you don't like movies I like.
Is it Deadstream? Is that the one that upsets you?
that still hurts me. Do you know? At some point I'm going to get you on the show to do Deadstream because I want people to understand why you hate it, and I need to understand because I don't understand.
I know. I was arguing with Kat Valor about a friend of mine is doing a found footage bracket, and he's the one that he did the other day. It was, God, I can't even remember. I don't remember what it ended up being up against, but I commented and I was like, I will never vote Deadstream. Like, and Kat's like, basically the whole poll is just me and you counteracting each other because she and I do not like the same found footage movies. Anyway, so that was funny because Deadstream haunts me. That and Creep, I can't escape it.
Yeah, both great.
I mean, I guess if you feel that way, that's fine. I don't feel that way. I feel like, but yeah, we'll see where we fall on this one because we talked a little bit before we recorded about it, but the remake that we were talking about today is the 2006.
Yeah,
right?
2006.
Yeah. 2006 remake of The Omen, which I had seen, but it had been so long since I had seen it, I had to do a rewatch. And I was work from home, and I'm just telling you a really short story. It's not really that relevant to the review, but I thought it was funny, so I'm going to share. And my son comes in, and I was like, he was watching TV in his room, so I thought he wouldn't come in. I thought he'd be busy for a while. And he came in, and he was like, what are you watching? Because he knows it's always something scary. And he's always like, Is this a scary movie? And I'm like, I if you want to call it that, I guess you could call it that. And he's like, what's it about? And I was like, the devil. He was like, and I'm not a religious person. We don't talk about religion yet at all. And he was like, is Jesus in this movie? And I was like, no, just the devil. He goes, I love the devil. Can I watch it with you? And I was just like deceased. I was laughing so hard. I was like, sure, you can watch it. And there were some parts where I would like stop it because it gets a little gory. But anyway, I just thought this was super funny. So I had to revisit because it had been a long time since I'd seen it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched this when it first came out.
I think I did.
full disclosure, I am a huge fan of Liv Schreiber. I think he's an incredible actor, but I cannot see him as anything else but Ray Donovan. So in this, he's still Ray Donovan. When he's in one of the Wolverine movies, he's still
Oh,
Ray.
yeah, and you know who he is to me.
Who is he to you?
Isn't he Cotton? Isn't that the same guy that plays Cotton?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't.
I was like, Cotton's in this. I didn't know. I forgot about that.
Yeah. See, I don't associate him as much with Cotton Weary. I watched Ray Donovan. I got very, very into the Ray Donovan series, and his character in that is a very, very strong-willed, very determined, rides the line of what's legal and what isn't. He's basically a fixer. So if the first ever episode starts with an NBA player calling him that he's woken up with a dead prostitute in his bed, and Liv Schreiber's character turns up and within 2 minutes has made this all go away, and like
he's the wolf
the body
from
the body's dealt with, and they've spun it that the NBA player's going into some sort of rehab, and he's come out of it like with a good press wave. Like he's that guy, and I can't see him as anything else but that. So when I watch him in this, and he's like bits where he's like a broken man and he doesn't know what to do, I'm like, come on, man, you could do this. Sort it out.
You're Ray Donovan. Get it together.
Yeah, I'm going to say it because I feel that I'm the one that says things, so I take the stick, and you can just kind of agree with me. The Omen franchise.
It works so well for our dynamic.
Yeah, the Omen franchise isn't that great. The Omen story isn't that great. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it had the potential to be a really cool story. I love things that are sort of anti-religion or kind of question religious things. Like that's one of my favorite things, especially in horror. And I said this when I covered the newest one, the first Omen. I covered it on another channel, and I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, I'm just not super into the Omen franchise. Like it's never been one that I've just felt really passionately about. You know, I saw the first one, you know, probably in my mid to late 20s for the first time. And I thought, okay, I can kind of see like the intrigue. And, you know, like I said earlier, it's like a cursed film. So there's all this history behind it, and that's fine. But like, I didn't like the first one enough to even watch the others. Like I didn't even watch them. I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. Scary kid. He wins. We're moving on. Right. Like I just didn't really think that much of it.
Yeah, and I'm the same as you. It's a really cool concept, and like you, I love things that tie into religion. I was raised Catholic in a very devout Catholic house. Like we went to church. That was part of my upbringing.
Yeah.
And then when I grew up and I realized that none of that shit exists. Hate in the comments, that's what they're for. But when I realized none of that stuff existed for me, like then I love seeing people play with that mythology that people absolutely live and die by, and breaking all the rules of it and turning something that's meant to be very good and making it actually not so good, because they portray the Catholic Church in this in horrific ways. The Catholic Church is not good. Not good.
No. There's a portion of it that's basically, I mean, light and you know, for lack of a better word, they're essentially Satanists. Like they're trying to do this, like, and it's crazy because I know I messaged you this when I was watching it, and like I think rewatching this, and yes, the first Omen connects to the original. It does not connect to the remake, but for the main plot points, a lot of them are similar or the same. And so I was like watching the first Omen not that long ago, and then going back and watching the remake for this. It was interesting to think about kind of the overall storyline in a bigger way, because they give you more detail in the first Omen. So I was just like, and I think I texted you this. I was like, these motherfuckers. I was like, you know, it was kind of fun going into it, like with all of that super fresh on the brain of like this huge conspiracy and like all these things they're doing. And so it was cool.
Yeah. And I've got a real appreciation for the level of violence and gore in this. As I watched the director's cut of this, and where the priest gets it, that is so cool. Like he gets it so good with all the glass coming down and cuts, and then he gets impaled. Like that is so good. But I don't know how much of that's in the theatrical cut because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, because I assume the one I watched was theatrical. It was on, what was it on? Something. Hulu? I don't know. It was on something. So it was probably that. It probably was not the director's cut. Yeah, because I mean, really all you see the glass fall and you see the, that metal rod fall down and it hits him and he's stuck there like that. But then it's kind of quick to cut away. So it probably doesn't have as much as much gore as
in the director's cut. They do a brilliant panning shot when it comes right up and like Luke does like an arch over him, and you see all the cuts in his face and the bits of glass stuck in his neck, and really,
you don't get
really
to
cool.
see that in the theatrical. Which is, I mean, it's a cool death in general. Like the play on the stained glass windows, and like I thought that was like these very like everyday accidents being played with for the benefit of the devil was kind of cool in general. I mean, I like that concept as in general, so that was cool.
Yeah, and I like the concept of the movie. I like the idea of the second coming of the devil. I love the idea of the mark. The only issue I have with the mark in this is there's a bit where he's saying, well, this is my son. I bathed him as a baby. Babies do not have enough hair to hide that mark. And he's like, and I never
not
saw it.
usually.
And then he goes and cuts the hair and he's like, oh, it's there. Like, surely they could have done this, like, put the mark on the inside of the lip or on his tongue or something like that. I think would have been so much more impactful.
Places you don't really look at when you see a baby that you're changing their diaper and giving them baths. And it's the hair cutting scene was a little like for me, because it was like clear that he just looked like he was cutting, and then they pan away from it, and then it's like all of a sudden you can see it, and I'm like,
Yeah. Cast wise, this is a good movie. I think everyone in this is pretty good. The only one I would say is a bit is Julia Stiles, but I find she's a bit in everything.
The only thing I have ever seen her in, or I just thought she was great, and I'm pretty sure it's because she just played herself, is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah,
she played the very angry female teenager really well. But I mean, this like ambassador's wife, motherly, like I just don't think she was a great choice for that. I don't think she brought it justice, because like the scenes, and we focus on her a lot because she's the target, like and so there's scenes where like she's the focal point, and they just probably would have felt more interesting or more, if it had been someone else in the moment. But like the bathroom scene where she closes the mirror, I was like, meh, like it just wasn't super compelling.
I find her, like everything that she does in this, a bit just like even when she's like hanging from the edge,
she just looks like she doesn't care. She's like,
no expression. It's like, Damien, save me, Damien, and then she falls and dies.
Yeah.
I do like the elements of realism they add to this. So when you get the nanny brings the dog in the home, Liv Shriver's reaction is exactly how it would be. Why is there a dog
he's like, get rid of it. Yeah.
She's like, well, we can't get rid of it now because Damien really likes it. He's like,
he's like, the fuck, we can't. Yeah. No,
tomorrow, RSPCA, that goes. It's like, yeah, good for you.
And honestly, getting Mia Farrow to play her was brilliant. If you're not familiar and you're a horror fan, the biggest thing that comes to mind is Rosemary's Baby. But Mia Farrow is huge, like, and she has like a presence to her, so that she's probably my favorite casting choice. I think, like, I like Cotton as well, but I really liked her. Like, I thought she just was like perfect, because as a horror fan, that triggers something in me. I'm like, oh, and I felt the same way. I will say, going back to Julia Stiles for a second, when she tells her that their son isn't going to go because he doesn't feel well, and she's like, have him ready and in the car in 5 minutes. I love that the parents in this were not taking any shit from this nanny. They weren't just like, oh, okay, whatever you say. They were like, no, this is my house and my child, and you will do what I say. I did really like that. That was a lot more compelling. And as far as like believability, like you said. Yeah.
I would have fired her.
Yeah.
Like the dog, like the dog instant, that would have been enough to say, yeah, you
gotta go.
Yeah, you've got to go. And then oh no, sorry, he's not going. Like, had I not fired her for the dog, I would have fired her there
It
and
would have
then. Going,
been
look,
that. Like either way, yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah, that was
you need.
crazy. But yeah, that they did handle it a lot more realistically than than I think some of those things were handled in the original, because it was very like what do you call it? Like a too easy of a setup where it's like they just got away with everything and they got to do whatever they wanted. Where in this they're like, no, like
Yeah,
you work for us. Like
yeah,
you're not the decision maker here. Yeah.
yeah, and that's good. The kid who plays Damien, the problem I've got with kids being the evil thing is the same problem I've got with like Chucky the evil doll.
Hmm.
Like, if you've got an evil child who's trying to kill you, it is still a child. And I am quietly confident I could take out many, many, many 8-year-olds in this scenario if I had to. Like, this kid trying to kill you, if you kick it in the forehead, he's going to stop. I know that's not right, but in this scenario, this is the devil. If I kick it in the head, it's okay.
Kick it in the forehead. Oh no. Yeah, it's not as menacing as it's meant to be. Yeah.
I have a child of this age, and were he possessed by the devil, I'm quietly confident if I had to, I could take him down without much resistance because he's a child. And like again, it's the same as like the Chucky thing. Like Chucky comes towards you, and everyone goes, "Oh no, just kick it." Just
Yeah, it's
kick it.
and then you run and then you're fine. Like it's not
Yeah,
that serious. Yeah, I agree. I think the scary kid stuff, it's I don't know. It takes a lot for that stuff to work for me too. I just kind of get like I don't know. Like it's like I don't know. I think it works because I think kids are creepy naturally. So in that regard, because I also have a child that's similar or close to this age. And he does creepy stuff all the time. Like the other day, he came crawling around the corner on his tippy toes and his fingertips, and his hair was all down in his face. And I was like, why do you do shit like this? Why are you like this? But they're just naturally creepy. But I also think like this kid didn't do, in my opinion, a very good job. I do think the original child actor from the original, I think was a much better version of this than I think
yeah,
this kid was. This kid was almost too kind looking, if that makes sense. Like he just looked like he wouldn't do anything bad. Even his
yeah.
little like sinister grin at the end, you're like,
Even when he attacks his mum, like
yeah,
that violent, brutal attack, she has a tiny scratch. Like it's like nothing. She got a little mark on her head. That's it. And you're like, well, again, like his threat level is pretty low. Like
yeah,
I don't know. The whole kids in horror thing, they need to have something extra like Pet Cemetery where you've got Gage. Gage
yeah,
is dead. Like there's not a lot you can do to him now. Like he's gonna keep coming back.
sure,
When you look at something like Megan, it's an AI robot that is
yeah.
stronger and faster than you. That is a true element of fear because how do you actually deal with that? But in this, it's just a little kid possessed by the devil. He can make dogs growl and bark at you, but
That's it though.
that's about it. Like, he's
Yeah,
got, like, from what I can tell in this, he has no powers, just influence over weak-minded people.
yeah. And I agree. I think like the dogs, and I'll be honest, like I think dogs are scary enough. Like they pose a threat, they can hurt you, especially because there's that scene in the graveyard where there's like more. There's like three, I think, three of them.
Yeah,
And I think that works on its own if they just are like hellhounds, right? But I think the concept of being scared of the child, or I don't know. And I feel like Mia Farrow's character too kind of expected them to like be afraid of her, or to like, and it's like she might have been menacing, but she was menacing for what she could do in the background, not necessarily because of what she could do to them, if that makes sense. So yeah,
yeah.
I did like the part where what is his name in this?
Liv Shriver.
Liv Shriver. What's his name? The character name?
I actually don't
You
know.
don't know either. So when he lifts that thing up in the pantry, I thought that was a cool shot. I liked that. Like when they fight the dogs, that was cool. Like the cemetery scene was neat. As far as the dogs, like the finding the baby thing, I don't think that
Her mother was a jackal. like that line, just like, oh,
Yeah, and he's just like, I gotta go. He's like, I can't. I like the guy that plays that priest, though. I think he does a good job. But you know who else I really like? Remus from Harry Potter, the guy that plays the reporter. I
yeah,
really liked him a lot, and I really liked the photographs and the. I thought that element was really cool, and it kind of got live away from home, and like he's focused on that, and like I thought all of that was really really good. Meanwhile, his wife's like in the hospital, but I thought that part was really good with the photography and the. I just liked the element of like this reporter being like, wait a second, and like seeing and his death,
the final destination rehash of the sign death.
decapitation. Oh, it was good though. I loved it.
Yeah.
And like the look on the ambassador's face when he like comes around the corner, like they were just talking to each other like seconds before. And it's just this like whole, like, I mean, you knew it was coming. He'd already seen the
Yeah.
pictures or whatever. So you knew it was coming, but it was really, really well done. I like that part a lot, actually.
Yeah, and I like how this ends. I like the fact that he takes Damien into the church and he's got the sacrificial knives. And I think the child actor does a wonderful bit here, being a scared kid.
Yeah.
And like it gets to the point of the movie where you're like, ah, cool, he's done it. He's going to kill the kid and everything's okay. And I like the twist ending where you get the SWAT team come in and just take him down. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't think they got there too fast?
Oh, 100%. They
I
were
was
sent to
like,
the church. Like the church, this is orchestrated to keep Damien alive.
I guess. I was just like because he gets him in the car, just throws him in the car. He leaves. He hits Mia Farrow with the car.
And she goes flying as well.
And she does.
The worst CGI Mia Farrow does a somersault across the
Yeah. And then it's like within a couple of minutes, he's at the church. It doesn't take long at all. And then there's just like this whole team of people coming in. And I was like, I guess like, sure. Like she was fine enough to call them. I don't know what happened. Like he sent them a message. I don't know. But they like got there so fast. And because I didn't remember how it ended. I thought I remembered how it ended. Like I was pretty confident it ended the same way as the original with the little turn and the smile. Because I remember not being impressed with it the first time. But then I was like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does kill him. So I'd kind of forgotten about that part.
Yeah, no, Damien survives and then he goes and lives in the White House. A little bit like Chucky.
Exactly.
In fact, it's a parallel universe. Chucky done exactly the same. Ended up in the White House with the White House family.
Oh my God.
Which
That's
there's
the
no
spinoff we need, Damien, and well, not anymore, I guess, because season 3's ended. But anyway, but that'd be funny. Like, yeah, because it's set up. I mean, it's exactly what they wanted. They wanted it set up, obviously, so he would be in a position of power. That's like the whole point. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of it's fine. Like I feel the same way about this that I think I do about the original. I didn't find it to be particularly scary. There are certain parts of it that are pretty engaging, parts I really liked, and then there are other parts where I was probably looking at my phone a lot because I was like, but I did think a lot of the cast was really good. I did like some of the changes to the story. I thought they were good and they worked well. But yeah, the child actor I didn't think was super great. Julia Stiles was a little weak, and I think that because again, she's so much of the focal point for a lot of the scares. Those moments felt underwhelming because of her acting and
her dream sequences are they are the worst part of this movie.
I didn't like those either. Yeah.
The red robe with the like skull mask. I was like, oh come on, this is so tropey and just like there's lots of things they've done in this that are very slightly religious and slightly scary that we could use.
Sure. Yeah.
And no real thought. And we've said this about lots of movies. Like if there's a demon, in this case, it's Damien, who is the actual devil causing these nightmares. These nightmares are going to be truly terrifying.
Yeah. These were just like, thrown together thoughts. Like they weren't really, I wasn't moved by those either.
No, like if the demon's going to give you a dream, it's going to be a dream like where you pull that little bit on your fingernail that hurts and you pull that off and then
then there's like, and you're unraveling yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're the sort
Yeah.
of. It's not just going to be some cheap jump scare of someone in a mask that makes you instantly wake up. If he's trying to give you nightmares, he's going to want you to suffer for a
It's
long
not
nightmare.
gonna be over that quick, right? Yeah.
No,
No, I agree. And I think the tropey part of like, because that's very like satanic cult trope, right? Of like
yeah,
people in robes wearing bone mask, right? Of some kind of skeletal something. And while that can work, that can be very cool, it was not in this. It was not cool in this at all. The bathroom scene, I feel it was had a lot of potential in particular though, because it felt isolating. That room was so big and empty and white. But then I knew as soon as she moved the mirror, I was like, ugh, like it just kind of, yeah.
but yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie.
Yeah.
It's I would put this. It's on a par with the original.
Yeah.
It done what we asked remakes to do. It
Yeah.
took the source material. It
Yeah.
added some new plots. It added some new twists. It changed things a little bit, but still
Yeah.
stuck true to the original story. It,
Definitely.
it's a good remake of a good movie.
Yeah. I'm pretty online with that too. Cause I feel, yeah, I don't think this was very, definitely wasn't an earth shattering, like mind blowing remake by any means. What do you rate this?
Uh, I don't know. It's above average. It's
Okay.
probably a 7 out of 10, I think.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's not that high for me. I would probably give it, I don't know, maybe like a 5.5.
Yeah, so it's not bad. It's not great. I'm not going to rush out to see it again. But if it was on,
Right.
I wouldn't be annoyed enough that I needed to change the channel either.
Yeah, and it's like as far as rewatch value, I mean, I wouldn't watch either of them just because probably like for the original or this. Like I wouldn't just be like, you know what I really want to watch? Like that's not gonna happen for either of them really.
No,
Um
they're not that sort of movie. This is a movie that's
yeah,
there's certain movies I think that are made that are very much a one and done movie. And they can be really good movies, they can be really bad, or they could be average like this, like The Exorcist. That for me is a I've watched it. I've watched it multiple times throughout my life for different reasons, but I could watch
yeah.
that once and never have to go back to it because I'm not going to get anything new
That's not,
watching
yeah,
it again.
that's another one where I wouldn't necessarily just be like, "Ooh," and I really love The Exorcist, but I think it serves its purpose in a first watch. I feel the same way about Skinamarink though. Like I absolutely loved that movie, but it has no rewatch value. Like that's not a movie where I'm just like, "You know what I really want to watch again?" No, that's not
I have watched that 4 times now.
4. I've only
Four,
watched it
ti-
one time.
4 times because I still cannot work out if I. It's
How you
either
feel?
it's either a masterstroke of horror or it is the biggest pile of trash I've ever watched. I watched it twice back to back because I
Yeah, I
watched
remember
it.
you telling me that. I
Well,
loved it.
I watched it and you and me spoke about it through messaging. And I went, "This is awful," and you went, "No, this is really good." And then after that, I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to watch it again." And I watched it again like a couple of days later. I'm like, "I don't get it." And then actually, and then it's one of those movies that sits with you. So like the day later, you'll go,
I well, and full like on and being totally honest, I had to take breaks from it. It got to me on an emotional level so bad that I had to I had to get up and do other things and then come back and watch more of it. It like, and that's not something I want to feel again. Like I'm good. I watched it once. I got a lot out of it. And it's for it to be experimental horror and for me to really like it and all at all is pretty. It's kind of a big deal because I don't typically like experimental stuff. Um,
the guy who
and
plays the
yeah,
dad's a really, really nice guy as well.
huh?
Really, the guy who plays the dad in real life, really, really nice guy. He's at Ross's Awesome Sauce on Instagram.
Oh, okay, the guy that played the voice of the dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Really, really, really nice guy. Like
The
really down to earth.
the
Like
guy that made it, shit, something Bell. He is like I love watching interviews with him and he's such a like a like a real person. I don't know how else to say it. Like I love watching interviews with him because I watched him do a question, like a Q&A at like some con or something, or some screening of something. And people got to ask him questions about working with kids. And like, I just loved his philosophies about working with kids and what it was like doing this and filming in the house. And it was just really cool. So, that is a film very well done with kids. That's horror related in my opinion, but it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value. And I don't really think that any of the Omen movies do either.
No, I agree.
I don't think they do. So, well, cool. Well, we were I thought we were going to be a lot further apart on this one.
Yeah, we kind of agreed.
Sort of, more or less. Yeah. Like,
Mm.
I thought you were going to be like, oh, this is the best, whatever. And I was going to be like, this is the worst, but it kind of is in the ground. I think I can appreciate enough things from this that it's not just like the worst movie I've ever. I mean, we've covered both Black Christmases. Like, I think like that is officially the bar for the low end of remakes. But
yeah, they're bad. We need to find a really bad one to do at Christmas again.
There aren't any other Christmas ones, are there?
I'll look. I'll find something bad for Christmas.
Okay. It'll be our Christmas tradition. Cover like a really horrible remake. All right, cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Remakes. As always, Scott's links are in the description, so you can go follow him and check him out if you're not already. There's also a link for merch. We just updated the logo for Voices Remakes with You Run. I don't know why I said it that way. That's not the name of the show. What was I thinking? Your show. What am I doing?
Yeah. I don't know
what day is it? Anyway, whatever the name of the show is, Remakes and Continuations. Just redid the logo. So if you're interested in checking out that merch, links in the description before. Yeah, that's all we have for this one. Next month we're going to be talking about Let Me In, which I think is going to be interesting to say the least. So
there's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, it's on Tubi if you're interested in watching it before our chat and you haven't seen it yet. But anyway, bye. Well, that's gonna be it for this episode of Remakes and Continuations. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope you have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you later.